You know, we could actually just start the podcast on time for once. Like, actually, at the time that we arranged it to.
But why though?
I mean, I feel like it would be a nice change of pace. It could be the first time ever.
Certainly. I guess I have some work to do, and if nothing else, I could go to sleep for longer. So that'd be right.
Yeah, that's something that's definitely going to happen. You're not. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on like what Magic Arena events are running that you're going to play until 4 in the morning instead.
Uh, Final Fantasy is kind of old hat now. So
Ah, okay. You're done. It's over.
I've been tapering off a little bit, you
Sure.
know. I did
Sure.
just pull Saber and HSR.
Mm-hmm.
I got her after you did, actually.
Yeah, you made me log back on. You were like, you have to do this. Archer is busted. And I was like, I don't really know if I'm going to do this. I logged back on. I had some amount of remaining whatevers. I used all of my like little scraps that you can convert into pulls to convert them into pulls. And I pulled her
Mhm.
on my last possible amount without spending any money.
And
So
then immediately
I
logged off.
exactly. I
Yeah.
speaking of logging off, I mean, let's talk about Marvel Snap, right? Everyone is I have come to the conclusion that I am now officially annoyed at the Doomers. Like, not that I necessarily think they're wrong, I'm just tired of hearing it. I mean, I kind of think they're wrong, but I'm just really sick of like I was streaming Hearthstone, and so someone showed up in my stream and was just like, "What do you think about those greedy fucks over at Second Dinner?" It's like, bro, like, what do you want me to do?
Have you heard of capitalism? Is
Yeah,
this your first day?
I don't know. I also think that like this general perception of the player base, like the way in which the player base has been acting, has caused what I would describe as like I've never really seen this before, but it's like people want the new cards to be busted so they can complain about how busted they are and how pay to win the game is. Like,
Yeah, kind of.
it's so odd. Like we saw this with Fantastic Art, world's least busted card of all time. Like I'm very confident in saying that like that card is so fine. We saw with Human Torch First Steps, I think a lot of creators were starting to feed into that one. When I did my video, I was pretty clear that I thought he was like pretty good, but he was closer to like a Shaw in the Surfer deck than he was either a Brood or a Captain Carter. But he's like a pretty cool
Yeah.
card. Yeah. But like people were like, oh my God, this guy's busted too. And there, you know, a 1 out of 3 hit rate ain't bad. If you just call every card busted, you'll be right. Mr. Fantastic First Steps is a little busted, right?
Hey, you
Yeah.
got it. You
Yeah.
got one.
Yeah. But even he is like a little overhyped because of a thing that I think happens in Marvel Snap a lot where people like to think that metagames are purely rational and everything is about, you know, the absolute best, most optimized thing. But
God.
a lot of the time, something new just came out and people are going to figure out the parameters of it. And so it'll be overplayed for a little bit. And that will help determine the metagame because metagames are not just about what is good, they're about what is good in the context of what people play. And the context of what people play is not purely informed by what is good.
No, I mean there's a human element involved, right? Like we are all human beings who make choices, and a lot of those choices are defined by like what gives us brain chemicals. And
Yeah.
oftentimes it is like the new thing or the flashy thing or whatever. And like if we were all just robots who were trying to maximize win rate, metagame would look very, very different.
I also think that like this has caused Mr. Fantastic to get an outsized perception where it's like this card is the most busted card that like, again, on the scale of busted 2 drops, he's up there. He's definitely not better than the 2 legendary busted 2 drops like the Roger and Zebek of busted 2 drops, Sam Wilson and Iron Patriot, but like this card is very strong and I think more importantly asks very little of you. So it's just in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But when you compare it to something like Merlin, which again, it'll ask a bit more of you, but Merlin will deliver a similar amount of things to you for what it's asking, right? I don't really think you can concretely say like Mr. Fantastic is flat out better than Merlin. Even though I think he's more generically applicable, there are decks that care way more about what Merlin brings to them than what Mr. Fantastic brings to them. And I think that
True.
like this is old hat for you. This is a normal distinction to draw for a Magic player who's been doing this for, 75 years. Yeah.
75. I mean,
Yeah.
a gross underestimate at this point, but
150 years.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Merlin's got a lot going on. It's like you have stuff that rewards hand size, you have stuff that rewards cards played per turn, you have stuff that uh rewards like you playing things in a location like Hope Summers or whatever. Like there are a lot more kind of hooks for that card to grab into synergy wise and have it feel more powerful in your deck than say Mr. Fantastic, where it's just like wow, it's generating like some value turn over turn, and that's pretty good, but the ceiling on it, or I
Yeah.
guess just the power level overall is a lot flatter, which when you're talking about can we put this in multiple decks and like how bad is it? It's just like, well, it's pretty good everywhere, but
Yeah.
Merlin is gonna run up against some issues where if you play it in like, I don't know, Ajax or something with a slightly higher curve, you're gonna run into hand size issues for sure.
I also think that like it's sort of about the spikes, right? Like Merlin in a Sentry deck as a one cost Cersei is better than like 95% of things Mr. Fantastic does. But it also asks you to take on the risk of playing Sentry and not having Merlin, right? Like it delivers more because it asks you to do more. And I think Mr.
Yeah.
Fantastic asks you to do effectively nothing. And that's sort of the foundation of his power.
Yeah, it's assembling A plus B versus just, I don't know, A plus C, A plus D, C plus D. Like, who cares?
Yeah. And like there's stuff you can do to build around Mr. Fantastic, but there's also decks that do that stuff basically anyway. Like the reason he fits so seamlessly in Surfer is because everything he's asking you to do, which is again very minimal. It's basically just like play stuff that wants to get buffed, which is most cards, but some cards more than others, right? And so you just look at whatever deck is playing some of those cards already, and he goes in it and he's very good. Speaking of which, I kind of feel like Surfer's a little overrated. Like I think this is because it runs all these new cards. Everyone's like, "Oh, this must be the best deck in the game." It's good. Like it's absolutely a deck worth respecting. It does a lot of strong stuff. It is good. It has a bunch of powerful things going on. It's a Juggernaut Cosmo deck with stats. It's really strong. But I think people are like I think people honestly fundamentally misunderstand what it means for a deck to be strong in a card game, and they think it means like 70% win rate when no deck ever has that.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Surfer's ability to play tech cards it's thumbs up. Like, good.
Mhm.
Okay, so now you have this thing that can do points, but also interact, and that is generally a recipe for success. But end of day, it's still like you're trying to assemble brood plus pump it, and
Yeah.
that is vulnerable to a lot of things. And like your final turn is pretty scripted a lot of the time in terms of like, well, I know that they're gonna play a Silver Surfer and going to be able to like output these points in these places, right? And like what can I do to actually play around this? It doesn't have a lot of variability in the things that it's capable of.
Yeah, it's like a fine deck that's probably a little strong for how scripted and relatively easy it is to play, but it's more like a Surtur than it is anything else. And I think Surtur's a good comp because, the old Surtur decks were so strong in large part because they got to play this interactive stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't just great points packages, it was great points packages and then like metagame relevant interaction, which is what Surfer has before a lot of the power boosts to Surfer really came out, things like Captain Carter, Gwenpool, Galacta, Surfer's power was mostly determined by like how well its tech fit the metagame. Like if it was a good Killmonger Mobius meta, it was a good time to be playing Surfer. And right now it's in a situation where it has all these powerful tools, and also there are some very relevant threes. Cosmo Juggernaut, Killmonger can be relevant, Mobius can be relevant. So it gets to be at a sort of apex position for its own understanding. Like this deck gets to be at a relative apex. I know there's a word for that mathematically, like a local apex or something like that. That's how I would try to describe what Surfer is at right now. For its own archetype, it's about as good as it's ever been since way back in the day.
Yeah.
But like for a good deck in Marvel Snap. It's like a very normal amount of power, I think.
Yeah, I think that is correct. I think overall Surfer is the like you must be this tall to ride kind of thing going on right now, and I think a lot of decks still clear that. And I think when people say like, "Oh, this deck is really good or busted or whatever," it generally has a higher bar than that. So I feel like a lot of what people are trying to communicate is just either misguided or wrong.
I think it is strong, but I also think there's a sort of propensity among card game players, and I myself am guilty of this, to call the strong thing busted or broken or use hyperbole when describing it. I can't really lecture others about that, but I do feel like
I
Surfer is
lecture you
suffering.
about that.
You do, yeah. And you can, because you're very careful with your words, and I'm not. But I feel like Surfer is suffering from not like terminal overhype. The deck is actually great. It's one of the best decks in the game. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not. But it's like a totally normal deck for being one of the best decks in the game, right? Like we've seen a million of one of the best decks in the game. Playing this game for 3 years, there've been a bunch of decks that have been one of the best decks in the game.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I was getting at, where like this just feels like a random Tuesday or something, not
Yeah.
like, oh, this deck is so cracked it is beyond busted. This is like OG Loki or something, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like that is an era that is going to be remembered in Snap. You know, like this is a blip on the radar. No one is going to remember this era of Surfer. It is completely just very normal.
I kind of wonder if this isn't a symptom of a larger thing, which is that like Snap has lost the propaganda war with its own player base. Like
Oh,
I kind of think that like and again, I could be off base because like I've been playing Hearthstone more and I hang out in a Discord where a couple of really good Hearthstone players are, and they unanimously despise the game they play. They like, without question, the number one thing you'll see there is like, I hate this fucking game, I hate this fucking company, right? And I love that attitude because like it's just a very funny position to hold. I find it incredibly funny to watch that, but
have
also when you play the game, you totally understand why they feel that way.
have have y'all ever heard of sunk cost fallacy?
I don't even know if it's that. I like it's like what I'm getting at is like Hearthstone has been through all of this, right? These
Oh yeah.
guys, I don't know that they have like the level of hope for a company that like the Marvel Snap player base has for Second Dinner, right? Where it's like Hearthstone players, they're past it. They're jaded. That's the default position is like fuck this company. Like that is assumed to be true.
But
Whereas
like, why stick around? Just leave.
because they don't actually mean it in that sense. It's just literally like the cultural language. That's what I've been able to pick up on by osmosis. I feel like an anthropologist, but like it's a cultural language or like a social language of like they know they're good enough to know these are great players. They're good enough to know that like when they play the game they're opting into this, right? They're not stupid. But it's just such an awkward experience that again, even though they have control over it, even though they understand all of this stuff, these are amazing players, the cultural language is such that that is just how you talk. And I gotta tell you, going back into that, I kind of missed it because in Snap I'm the tilty one. In Hearthstone I am like the most even keeled person of all time.
Yeah,
It
they
is.
you're like you get dangerously close to being called a bootlicker or whatever.
Dude, like every it is just it's a cultural difference. That's what I can say, right? And
Okay.
I feel like a lot of that cultural difference is predicated on people in Snap genuinely believe that Second Dinner wants to do better and is unable to do better for X reason. It's a sort of like scheming vizier type thing where it's like, well, it must be because, so and so, but the product team is greedy or the new verse people were greedy or it's always something, right? And I think what's happening is they're settling into like what it's like to be a game where it's like, I don't know how many games have people have fan bases that like actively love them all the time. But Second Dinner had that for a little bit there. And I think they have lost that. And I don't know if it's gettable back. And the reason I bring this up is because this sort of cycle, like obviously it negatively impacts me, like my ability to make money, but like that's sort of not germane to anything, right? Like if I have to get a new job, I can probably do that, right? Like it's more about like the way it impacts my ability to interact with people because I try to be as open and honest as I possibly can. Like that is a pretty inherent part of who I am, and so it has become a pretty inherent part of my brand, right?
Yeah.
And it gets hard because I don't want to silence people who are making valid complaints. But also,
Silence guy I forgot to mention.
yeah, but also it's like I've heard them all before and I've made multiple videos addressing them and I don't want to talk about them right now because if that was the only thing I talked about all of the time, that would be a really depressing thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course. One of the things I don't really miss about creating content is that whole like, oh, why aren't you talking about this thing? And it's like I did a video on this 2 weeks ago, you
Yep.
know? So I understand where you're coming from. I get it.
It's just odd because I feel like I tried to let my Discord like I have a specific channel for when people want to complain about Second Dinner because it gets a bit annoying and repetitive, right? And in the wake of the Kid Omega thing, I was like, all right, I'm not going to enforce these rules. This is what the community wants to talk about. It can go in the general channel for a bit. And what ended up happening was invariably that like members of my community left the Discord because it became a shithole when people started being able to do that, right? Like people, it was the same conversation every day for a month. Someone would come in and say something that was directionally correct but virulently hyperbolic. People would correct the virulent hyperbole and then they would be called shills because any correction of the hyperbole is obviously per se defensive Second Dinner, which was verboten in the community. And it just I got really sick of it. I'm going to be honest with you. I got really sick of it because one of the things that bothers me the very most on the internet is when someone makes an argument that I agree with the direction of, but they go far enough to make the argument look preposterous by virtue of the things that they're saying to support it. And I think that happens a ton, especially in gaming communities. And it really bugs me every time because it feels like not like, oh, that won't get anything done, but it's just like, hey, man, you're making me look like an asshole. Like, they're going to see this and think that's what I think, right? If I like, and I think it sort of sucks because like there's a lot of people that I think, I don't know, maybe I take it for granted that I have a good ability to express how I feel, right? I'm a good talker. I can take the things that I feel in here and I think in here and I can put them in here and then put them in this microphone, right? It's a skill set that I have. And I think a lot of people I don't know, maybe aren't able to express themselves in that way, so it's not really fair for me to be like, "Hey man, you realize you're like kind of making us look like shit here." But I do wonder about it because it really was just like every single day was the same conversation. Someone would show up and half of what they said would be a valid critique of Kid Omega's monetization, and the other half of what they said would be something along the lines of like, these greedy fucks are trying to screw us all over. And they'd get pushback on the second part, and then they would interpret that pushback as pushback on the first part, and they would call people shills. And it would happen every day. And it's just like I don't have a better way of solving it other than making a channel for complaining, because otherwise that happens every single day. And I don't know what to do about that. And it has certainly impacted my ability to try to interact with the community, which is something I very often try to do.
Well, men would rather have a meltdown in Discord than go to therapy, right? So
I don't
I
know.
think I think I think you did the right thing where it's just like, okay, here is the tantrum channel.
I I feel bad even having a tantrum channel. As someone who used to be like the biggest salter on earth, I feel like having a tantrum channel is something I specifically didn't want to do because I think it made it worse. Giving people the thing that was really true for me when I was a bigger salter than I am now, a far bigger salter than I am now, was that having people interact with the salt was like feeling that sympathy, right? It
Yeah, that's
reinforced
the reason why
the
you do it.
right, it reinforced the doing of it. And so I felt like it was a bad idea to even make the salt channel in the first place. And I like kind of explicitly don't go in there so people don't get the idea that complaining is a way to get my attention, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I feel pretty ambivalent about having it at all. But I also think that another thing this has caused me to do is like, I don't really think I can do a hot takes video anymore. You know? Like, no one's going to have a hot take. It's all going to be X season pass card is broken and Y card is overpriced. And that's it. Not, I can tell you for sure, coldest takes on earth.
Yeah. I think that is fine. I don't think anyone is gonna mourn that.
I don't know, man. I've seen people asking me about it, like, "Hey, when's hot takes coming out?" And it's like, I have genuinely found it harder to engage, and I wish that wasn't true.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, they're still gonna want the video, but that's only because it's the same thing where they're like, "Oh, why didn't you talk about this thing?" And you're like, "I talked about it last week." You know, they just want you to, like, bang your head against the same thing that they are feeling. Like, they haven't fully resolved their tantrum yet.
I just like I don't even want to describe it as a tantrum. I want these people to know that I hear them and that I sympathize. Like, but I just like I can't abide the sort of constant bad faith entwining of correct criticisms of the company and like wild lobbed accusations. And it's so constant.
Yeah, so to be clear, by tantrum, I mean, it's like you are feeling a thing and you have all these very strong emotions over this thing that you care about, which I imagine is in this case is, Marvel Snap
Sure.
or just, gaming in general or whatever, right? And you have all these strong emotions and you want to like both get them out and also feel like you are heard. So you try to concoct this argument. Uh, but you're just shooting from the hip in a lot of cases. So you're like, this is bad, and also they're horrible and we should like stone them all to death or something. And it's like I agree with the first part, not the second part, that thing that you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
And none of it is super well thought out because like I don't even think that they believe the things that they are necessarily saying, like not 100% of it. It is just like they're having this strong visceral emotional reaction and just like screaming it into the void of your Discord channel.
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely makes me sad. Like, I am someone who genuinely prides himself on, at the very least, interacting with my community. But like, I'm the only creator basically who regularly posts in the main Discord, right?
Mhm.
I'm generally very willing to venture into places that like other creators are not willing to do. And I always have been. And I don't want to say this is a new phenomenon, but it feels new to me that that becomes a thing that is more frustrating to do now because I've been doing it for 3 years, right? Like it
Yeah.
hasn't been like this before, and I sort of wonder, like, not if the game is in a death spiral because I don't think that's really what's happening, but if the game is in a permanent state of lowered player perception.
First off, I think if the game were in a death spiral, it would be a lot faster.
Oh yeah.
You know? Like, we've been in a 2-year long death spiral.
I
Like,
mean, in that sense,
that's
like
not a spiral to me,
living,
that's a slow drip, you know?
yeah, like living is a death spiral. We all die, right?
Yes, exactly. So, I don't know. Yeah, player perception is very low. I definitely agree with that, and I hear people on that, and I agree with that on a lot of the stuff in regards to that. But I don't think that like the doomering is really conducive or helpful to anything. Like what is your goal here? What are you trying to do? Because
I don't
you're
know.
still engaging with everything. So what? Like you just want people to agree with you and then you get good brain chemicals from your e-hug?
Hey man, I'm not going to argue with good brain chemicals from an e-hug. That's like significantly more meaningful than getting good brain chemicals from a number on a screen going up.
Uh okay. I can mostly agree with that.
I think largely what I wanted to say is I'm personally pretty sad to have my ability to interact with the community curtailed in this way. And I really appreciate the people who are willing to have like calm and reasonable discussions about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And thank you for continuing to, keep your heads on straight in that context, because I still really do want to try to continue to put myself out there and not like be accountable, because that's like not really a good way to phrase what I'm trying to do, but like I am from the community. I am not like someone who was appointed by God to be a Marvel Snap content creator. I started out writing paste bin guides for the Discord, right? Like this is not something that like I was entitled to or inherently deserve or any of that stuff. I'm just a guy, and I happen to have wasted a large part of my life playing card games, which allows me to talk about them at a relatively high level. And I don't want to lose that part of me. I don't want to put myself and put it in an ivory tower, right? I don't want to put myself in an ivory tower and say, these people just can't talk reasonably. They just can't discuss the issue reasonably. I don't want to do that. And I don't like moving that direction. I don't like any of it. And so I guess, obviously, I don't really think any other people listening to the podcast are doing that. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, the people listening to the podcast probably have a whole host of other issues.
Oh, did you know the guy who threatened to sue Second Dinner over Doom 2099 is a podcast listener? Did I tell you that?
Case in
My
point.
my goat. My goat. Secondarily, shout out to that guy. He got it exactly correct, right? His threat of legal action got Doom 2099 an extra power. I firmly believe this.
Oh,
It worked.
okay.
It worked. My boy got the Reddit lawyers on their case, and he got Doom 2099 an extra power. Other thing that's actually bugging me, and this is actually the part where I'm going to whine about Second Dinner. There is an increasing perception that they constantly address the questions in Ask the Team that are worded in the most derogatory way. And it has gotten to the point that like I have users in my Discord who Ask the Team, and they're like, maybe I should be ruder here so they will actually answer me.
Yeah, that's certainly not good incentives. I don't know.
Yes. like they are constantly answering questions that are like, why did you lie to us, you liars? Like, it's like, why would you do that? I feel like that they sort of put themselves in this position by wanting, like, again, they're falling into the same trap I am. Like they want to interact with the community and they want to do this, right? But they are having that emotional response when they answer questions. They're like, I should talk to this person and explain to them what's actually going on and tell them that they're heard and all of that. And it's like, what's actually happening is you're coming off defensive. When you engage with that, what you're doing is you not only are incentivizing more people to ask questions like that, you are positioning your own rhetoric as if it is offering an excuse for the behavior that you're not actually embarrassed of at all. They've been pretty clear on this. They don't want to promise that they'll never do Kid Omega again because they might.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you can take away from this, is that they don't want to go out there and say, we learned our lesson from Kid Omega, because, I mean, are you sure they have, right? Like, this is a company, they are trying to make money, right? And so you have a situation where they are fundamentally unable to give the answer that the people want because it's currently not true as far as I can tell. I don't really know, obviously, but like you'd think that if they were able to give the answer, we're never doing a Kid Omega again, they would easily and clearly say that, right? Like,
Yeah, but
they have not done that, so I can only assume that it is an option that is still on the table, even if it's not one they would want to take. And I don't really think they're going to do a Kid Omega again, literally, because I personally think that, like, you know, they're going to do a bunch of stuff that is in the same conceptual space, but not nearly so severe. And I think, have you seen the things we know about Grand Arena yet?
no.
So what we know about Grand Arena, there are 2 cards available. Those 2 cards are Mole Man and Mad Thinker, neither of which should be nearly as big a deal as Kid Omega. You will be able to get one of them free to play. And if you have like a really high win rate, you'll be able to get both of them free to play. Or if you don't have a really high win rate, you'll spend somewhere between 400 and 900 gold.
4 to 900 seems completely reasonable.
Well, that's sort of the thing that makes Kid Omega so special is that, like, again, the issue with Kid Omega, there were myriad issues. One of them was sticker shock, though. So as long as these cards don't have a 9,000 number on them, they'll probably go down better. But there's also, like, the concept. I think there are people who are just fundamentally not okay with any of this and view any continuation in this direction as something like I guess what I think is there's a lot of people who are not in a position to be charitable to Second Dinner right now. And
Agreed.
I think Grand Arena could be a real test because everything I've seen of that mode makes me think that it is actually really cool. They're doing pre-constructed decks so everyone can play the game mode. Those pre-constructed decks have reasonable cards in them. People complain about game modes not being for onboarding new players. This one explicitly has pre-constructed decks, so a new player can pick up the game and play the game mode immediately without having to worry about any of the BS. Like, they are explicitly allowing for that to happen in a way that no other game mode has. It is a great concept. It's Marvel Snap if it was a Commander game. All of that makes a ton of sense. It is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. But they have win-gated the cards. And if they win-gate the cards, if you need a super high win rate to get both of the cards, people are going to be trying really, really hard. And if people are going to be trying really, really hard, there's going to be like a fairly competitive metagame in here. And that is the kind of thing that I think players writ large do not want out of a game mode like this. And so I think...
No, I agree. Like, if it is supposed to be commandery, in theory, that should be like fun, casual, etc. Right? Like, why are you mixing the incentives for a thing like that? It seems weird.
I agree, right? Like, this is the game mode where, to me, they should have flipped these, right? Kid Omega should have been the one where it's like, go try hard and win. This should have been a just play a bunch and it'll be fine game mode.
Yeah.
And I think that is like that sort of crossing of the streams. If I were to identify a single flaw in the game mode, it's that. It's the crossing of the streams between what's supposed to be a game mode that like people can play for fun and then incentivizing people to make a bunch of really hardcore competitive decks that beat the crap out of the starter decks, right? Like, what's the point of having the starter decks if people are just going to be playing a bunch of super busted crap?
Well, I would hope that if this was like a known issue, that this would be fixed in matchmaking, perhaps, but we'll see.
Oh, maybe there's like I would love if there was a starter deck queue. Like, that would be the kind of thing that would really help people have an experience that is not terrible. Like,
yeah, that'd be sweet.
I think a starter deck queue would be a great idea, and would inherently help solve this issue a little bit, I think. Like, I think that would be a good thing in general. I do worry about it though, because I don't want to say a lot is riding on this game mode, but like I asked a question and asked the team about like the specifics of what we'd get, and I got like a fairly reasonable answer, and I put it on Twitter, and people are just fundamentally not okay with the idea that like there's a game mode they're not supposed to complete. And I feel like Marvel Snap has been leaning into that a lot, where it's like we had that stretch goal we didn't get. They're putting a lot of these cards as stretch goals, right? Like effectively getting 2 cards out of this game mode for free is a stretch goal. Getting 1 card is something you should do, right? So going from 1 to 2 is the stretch goal. This current iteration of high voltage, little weekend high voltage thing that they did, there's borders on the back end as a stretch goal. And I gotta be honest, I think that this has the dual function of it makes people play a lot more. I think that is probably objectively true, is that it does increase engagement, but I think it also increases negative sentiment because this is gamers, right? Gamers love seeing number go up. Gamers love seeing bar get full. And what they've done is make a bunch of events where bar won't get full unless you pay for bar to get full. And I bet that's a really good money-making strategy. But I also bet that people get sick of it the more bars they are that they can't fill up.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if you're getting people to play and they feel like that motivation and that FOMO and everything, like that's kind of the point. That is sort of what drives like all these mobile games. And if the reward is a stretch goal of like a border, it's like that's a thing that's inherently forgettable, you know?
Yeah, you'd think, right? Like it's the stretch goal is a border on the high voltages, right? You'll be able to get all the premium mystery variants or whatever in this weekend if you just do your stuff. But if you don't get the border, like nobody would care about the border. Like what I'm saying is if the track ended at the premium mystery variants, nobody would complain. But since the track doesn't end at the premium mystery variants and it does end at the border, everyone is complaining, right?
That is true. Yeah, it's like they are doing a kind of bad job of like, well, here's some extra stuff if
I
you want to.
Right. And so I think like that is sort of the thing that people like if I were to pinpoint one thing that is not necessarily wrong with Marvel Snap's monetization because I don't have internals, it probably makes money, right? But the pain point that I think people are unable to express in a cogent way largely is every single reward track we get in this game, at the end of it, there's a thing. And like, imagine the reward track being like, you know, here, like XP, 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 XP. And then you get 90% done with the reward track. And then the remaining 10% just says 500 gold. That's that like 90% of the reward track is play games. 10% is pay us 500 gold, right? And I think that people feel that as an offensive thing, as a baseline. Like as much as someone like me would want to say, well, just ignore them. They're borders. Who cares? Right? You're gonna be mad that there's borders you can't get? Okay. You got like 4 premium mystery variants for logging on and playing the game. You're gonna be mad about the borders? People are gonna be like, yeah, I'm mad about the borders. How am I supposed to get them? And if they ask how they're supposed to get them, the answer is pay money. And they don't like that being a game mechanic. And I don't think they're wrong for that.
Like, I don't either. I feel like that is a lot of what is wrong with current gaming, especially because like mobile gaming is driving and informing a lot of the decisions that companies make because mobile games just make a shit ton of money, especially in
Yeah.
comparison. But like, it is just what reality is, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, it is, you know, like you wake up and you finally look at things and you examine things and you're like, oh, this capitalism thing like really sucks. And I'm like super frustrated and mad about that. It's like, yeah, it's been like that for a while. You know? Like you're not wrong, but also like this is the borders thing is like not the most offensive thing either.
Yeah.
So
And like the way in which like the language that is used to discuss this, it always feels so amped up to me. Like I saw someone describing the people who couldn't get the borders as like scorned players. And it's like, what are we talking about? Like what are we actually talking about here? Like it's isn't that a little much? It's borders. Like what are we doing? And I don't know. Again, maybe this is just Mr. Ivory Tower. I should develop like a cast of characters that I do for this show. But that is a little bit of Mr. Ivory Tower talking, but like there's someone like me who views most of these game modes as like purely a function of what I can get out of them rather than my enjoyment of the game mode. When I look at that, I'm like, oh, I just won't get the borders. I don't care. Just like, and that is unfortunately like that. Like I approach everything in Marvel Snap like that. That's just how I have to, because otherwise I'd go insane. And I think what's happening is Marvel Snap has developed so many ways to keep people on the spinning hamster wheel that they're going insane. Like that's sort of fundamentally where my head is at, where it's just like you can only do so many hamster wheel things before people are like, holy shit, please stop.
That is kind of what it seems like, because a lot of what you're describing, I'm just like, really? Like you're spinning out over the borders?
Right, but
When
it's like it's not just the
realistically, that's
borders,
like,
it's
and
everything.
no, I know. I know. It's like, how did it get to the point where this is what is happening? And I think that
Yeah.
you might be right about that.
Like, it's like, okay, I gotta log on and do my quests, and then I also have my alliance missions, which force me to go play decks that I don't want to play, which might cost me my rank, and then I have to, like, get back up because that's also a hamster wheel, which resets every month, and my ego is tied to that, which means it's the most important thing in the entire game. And then also, every like 2 weeks, there is a new hamster wheel that comes out, and I have to go play that, and sometimes that requires me to do a bunch of different things, but every one of those other hamster wheels also says 500 gold for the final reward. Even though I can get all this stuff free to play, it doesn't feel good that I can't fill the bar up. And constantly it's hamster wheel and hamster wheel and hamster wheel. We're at hamster wheel fatigue. That's what's happening.
All right, folks, listen to me. In 2016, I downloaded Hearthstone, and I was like, this situation that this game has going on is awful. I am either going to quit or spend $500, and I don't know which.
Oh yeah, which happened? I know which.
At the end of the week, I spent $500. That was the first time I'd ever spent money on a mobile thing, right? And this was me just being like, I am never going to spend money on these things because I recognize them for exactly what they are, right? And then I proceeded to trade like one thing for another for a while, where I was pretty steadfast about I'm only going to be spending on like one thing. Like there has to be a thing that I enjoy the most, where if I feel like I'm getting something from it, then that is okay. But obviously I can't buy everything. Like that is just not feasible. So I still have to be like tempered about it. And then I managed to get rid of all that shit. I was playing Hearthstone and Shadowverse and Clash Royale and like this other Clash Royale clone and whatnot. And I shrugged all of that off in the entirety of 2019. And I was mobile free
And then what
for
happened?
about a year. For about a year.
Yeah. Did something happen in
And then this
2020?
well, COVID happened, yeah. And then I
That's
was
crazy. Something
just
happened then that
it
like put everyone
it
inside?
in my house, and well, not that I had to be inside for me to be like depressed and miserable, but that did just end up coincide with being the thing. Anyway, I started playing more and more mobile games again because didn't really have anything else to do. And I was in this wheel that Cam is describing with all of these different games, and now I am free.
In the
I
sense
am
that
still
you
playing.
just got our
I'm
Saber out of Honkai.
Well, the reason I got Saber after you is that I did not spend any money.
I see. I see. You have escaped
So
samsara.
I am out of the wheel in that if I missed my dailies on one of these games, I felt horrible. Now I'm just like, whatever. Who cares?
The game that broke me of that. Oh, sorry, continue.
It is just some bullshit to trick your mind into logging in, but just do whatever you want to do and be okay with that. Don't get the borders. Don't get the weapon from the event or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter.
The game that broke me of that was Fate Grand Order. Because Fate Grand Order, incredible gotcha waifu slop or husbando slop, depending. But I eventually realized that I hated the game and how the game played, and like all of the mechanics of the game I did not enjoy. And I was like, oh, yeah, why am I doing that? So I just stopped. And that's yeah, like I think one of the things there's a couple things people get out of games, right? Like, and sometimes it's community, a feeling of belonging, and that keeps you around and that kind of stuff. But the one piece of advice that I think you can take from this podcast is you must escape the hamster wheel in your own mind. They're going to keep making hamster wheels. And until you mentally escape from the hamster wheel, you will never be free of feeling like you're on a treadmill where you run 90% of the way and then there's a guy with his hand out asking for cash at the very end of it, and you won't get the thing at the end unless you pay the cash. You must escape and be okay with that 90. And I would know. I'm on the hamster wheel of rank. I've been going through it, dude. I've been trying very hard to escape that hamster wheel. I'm doing a little better about it. I'm trying as hard as I can. The worst possible thing happened is I was trying to escape the hamster wheel 2 months ago, and then I hit rank 1, and I was like, damn, this hamster wheel feels so sick. This is such a cool hamster wheel, dude. This hamster wheel's got like suicide doors on it. It's got like 20-inch rims on this hamster wheel. I feel amazing. And
I just hit rank 80.
And I
feel great, dude. I feel great.
Escape it. Like, escape the hamster wheel.
Reset me into the 30s, you know? I don't give a shit.
It's important. You must escape the hamster wheel. That's probably going to be the title of this video, which is going to get absolutely 0 clicks because we're going to start talking about Marvel Snap, and nobody listens to this podcast here about Marvel Snap, you know? Like, this has been 47 minutes of actual Marvel Snap talk. That's ridiculous. What the fuck are we doing?
Sort of, not really. I really do want to make a mobile game and see if I can do hamster wheels, but only with like feel good mechanics.
You could go broke that way, yeah.
Well, no. I mean, just make it so like my players engage with the hamster wheels, but then they're happy about it.
But I feel like like, again, like we talk about how the player base is only happy when they're getting free stuff, right? But that's a consequence of the fact that they're on a hamster wheel. Like, no shit, the hamster's happy when you give him treats. What? Like, it's not the player base's fault. They've been conditioned that this is what matters, right? And so I feel like what you're saying is I'll make hamster wheels, but I'll put a lot of treats on them. And I think what'll happen is unless your players can get all the treats, what they're going to do is they're going to eat 90% of the treats, and then they're going to stare at that last treat, and they'll be like, you're a fucking asshole for not letting me have that last treat.
Maybe. But that's what I want to figure out. I want to see if they can look at like the other 80% that they got and be like, wow, that was kind of nice. Like, it's not obfuscated that they got that stuff for free. Like, it is really in your face. Like, hey man, you earned this. We weren't going to give you shit, but then you did a bunch of stuff and now you got these things. You didn't do enough to get the last thing, but like, hey, that's okay. You know, like you didn't need that. And maybe the way to do that is like the last thing on the wheel is like 5 XP books. You know, it's just like dog shit. Like, maybe the wheel starts dope as hell and then it just gets worse.
That is a novel monetization strategy of what if these people are... No, see, like that, like here's the idea, right? It's It's what if the entire world is so conditioned to fill bar up that it doesn't even matter that the thing at the end of the bar sucks. I think that's what RuneScape
Well,
does.
that's why I would have it. Okay, so say it peaks, right? It's like, all right, starts at XP books, goes to like, gated character level up material thing, and then it like craters back down into like XP books. When you hit the peak, that should be boom, the bar is full. And then the further you go, the bar just turns more colors or whatever. It
like
gets prettier.
the season pass boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that's a reasonable approach.
You think anyone's ever like, oh, I didn't hit like level 72 on the season pass and I'm pissed? I mean, I know that people were like botting to
I
get
know
all
that
this stuff.
people are mad that they capped it. I know people are mad that they're like, I finished level 100 on the season pass by like the third week of the season. I can't get any more shit.
I've never gotten past 70, like 72 or something.
Yeah. I know that though. Those are real people. They just play a lot. It is what it is.
Congratulations, you maxed the bar. What do you want?
More bar, dude. Like they want more bar. I don't understand what's so hard to understand about that. But I do like the idea because like that's a very sort of postmodern take, right? Where it's like gamers at this point are so addicted to maxing the bar that they might do it even if there's not an incentive there. They might just do it so the bar goes up. It's a novel monetization strategy predicated on the existence of all of these other things teaching us to interact with the world in that way.
What if you just gave them an e-hug and said, "Hey, you did great. Good job."
I feel like they would find that condescending in much the same way that I find the winner sending the GG condescending.
No. Like I think a lot of those people just need that from like their mother or whatever. So it's gotta like hack into their mind and get a picture of their parents and have them be the one that delivers that message. Cause like if your mom preemptively GG'd you or whatever, you won't be like, "God damn, mom, asshole."
You've invented the game, like a game from Black Mirror, where like it's just a company monetizing the images of your parents to make you feel better about the hamster wheel you're on.
Yeah. Yep. I think I broke it, honestly.
You've invented the most dystopian, like cyberpunk worst. If you actually pull this off in real life, people will remember you as like the guy who ruined gaming. Like you'll be like the Oppenheimer of video games.
I have become death. No, I would put all therapists out of business because everyone would just get everything that they would want. Their childhood would be fixed.
Men would literally rather hack into your brain to show you an image of your mother than go to therapy.
It's true.
Crazy. You want to talk about the barn?
The barn?
Yeah, you don't remember?
Like, thanks, barn?
No, like the thing, the barn.
Oh, the barnacle.
The barn. That's what we decided. We had Pedro, which absolutely did catch on. Everyone calls him that now. Munson,
I don't know if that was us.
I take credit for it. We had the whole conversation about the nicknames, and then everyone calls him that. It plays. I also just think that one was very obvious, though. Yes. Munson did not catch on. Argument against Pedro being us. The barn definitely not going to catch on. Further argument against Pedro being us.
I didn't even remember it.
Yeah, I mean, you're like 85 though. Like that happens.
85. Been playing games for 150 years.
Yeah, I mean, like when you have sort of that kind of timeline, it's not a surprise that you can't remember things like the greatest nickname ever invented.
I'm like the aliens in Arrival.
I never saw that movie.
It's really good, but
What happens?
spoiler, they experience time non-linearly.
Ah, okay. That's like, what happened to you is you went to the beach that makes you old, and then that's just kind of, I mean, that seems pretty simple, right?
Is that a Benjamin Button thing?
No, it's the M. Night Shyamalan movie Old, in which there is a beach that makes you old.
Oh, okay.
Just that's just that literally that is the plot of the movie. You went to the beach that makes you old, and now, unlike all of your other clones, you have lived for 150 years.
I'm the best clone.
Definitely the oldest.
Yeah. I mean, bigger number, better person.
That's true. Can I ask you a sartorial question? What's going on with your jacket? What's up with
What
the?
about it?
I don't know. There's like boxes on it.
I don't know. It's like wearing a quilt.
What's like why? Where do you get a like patterned blazer? What's
It's not
Is
a
it a
blazer.
jacket? Oh, it's got a zip on it. It's not a blazer. It's just like a jacket with like a okay. Okay, it's like a winter jacket. I get it. I understand now. For a second, I thought you had a patterned blazer on, and I was like, what 2011 time machine did you just step out of? Because I feel like that would have killed at a party in 2011.
No, it's my first time wearing it. It's pretty tight.
Like,
Not literally, but
okay. No, I get it now. It's just like a blazer with that pattern, white t-shirt, that haircut, 2011 party killer.
it's a gray tank top.
Well, I can't
Not
really
even
see
a
it.
white
It's fine.
t-shirt.
It's whatever. I was guessing. I don't know. Point is, it could have played. I can't make fun of you. We basically have the same haircut, so I don't really get to continue to make those jokes. I'll try. I'll tell you what my current gotcha game of choice is. It's $40 t-shirts on sale for $20. That's the gotcha game that I participate in. And it's specifically t-shirts because those are what show up in my videos. No one can see my pants. I have dope pants. Nobody can see them. I own a shocking amount of raw denim. And nobody has ever seen them because I don't leave my house and I don't stream in them. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Got to do some full body streams. some
I
some
do.
KM Beat Saber.
It's like this is why I keep cloning you, Gerry. Just once in a while you come up with a gem. Maybe we should send all of your clones to the beach that make you old. This
No.
wisdom will
then
not.
then I wouldn't be the best one anymore.
That's true. I mean, we can reward you for your temporary success. I want to talk about 5-drops in the context of the barn.
I don't need a reward. I have a bag of family size Sour
It's
Patch Kids right next
insane.
to me. What I can't think of a reward that'd be better than that, and I have it already. So.
I mean, you're right. Diabetic shock, absolutely a reward. In my humble opinion, that's a great way. That's a great way to go. Yeah. So the barn is a 5-drop, and 5-drops are mostly terrible because 3s and 4s are so damn good. And there's a bunch of different reasons that I want to examine for this, but like, here's my fundamental thesis. It is as follows. Okay. The goal of Marvel Snap is to win 2 locations. This naturally pushes the game toward a situation where one of the most powerful things to do on the final turn of the game is to play game-winning cards in 2 locations. This is almost always best done by either cost reduction on 4 costs, which can be up to 10 power and also include Shang-Chi and Enchantress, which can be game-breaking on their own, or buffing on 3 costs. I've seen 20 power Sebastian Shaws, Human Torch First Steps, Captain Carter, Brood, all of that kind of stuff. Right now, we are in a metagame that has a bunch of ways to do both of those things. Zabu just got a nerf, so he's slightly less played right now, but we still have plenty of Mr. Fantastic First Steps. We still have plenty of Surge. We still have plenty of Sarah. The first 2, Fantastic and Surge, I view as contributors to both of these things, where it's like, you're doing both of the things that are making this worse. So you're obviously kind of a problem. But even stuff like Sarah, just really anything of that nature, and just the fact that 3s and 4s are just better now, right? Like they make a lot of 3/5s. There's just a lot of 3/5s in Marvel Snap. They're just very willing to do that. We're back into a meta where Gladiator is pretty good, right? And Gladiator means that like a Fenris Wolf Shang-Chi can be the kind of thing that's like really, 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 really dangerous in terms of swinging lanes on the final turn of the game. Cannonball, all that stuff. As card quality has gone up, the ability of 3s and 2s and 4s to win lanes, not necessarily on their own, but be major contributors to it, has gone up in a similar way. Whereas 5s are inherently constrained because if you make a 5 and it's big as shit, it gets Shang-Chi'd. And if you don't want it to get Shang-Chi'd, you need to invest a Cosmo or an armor in there. And that's not even a guarantee that it won't get clapped by like a big Captain Carter lane just on numbers, right? If they made a card right now that was like a 5/12, a 5/13, it would just be getting Shang-Chi'd constantly, right? So what can you... My mic just fell off. Please continue this conversation while I fix my microphone, which I am currently holding up with my hand.
Yeah, I think 5s probably have to do something like go wide in a not completely shitty way, or maybe perhaps be some sort of setup card like Sarah that you play leading into the turn 6 thing. But ideally, I would want to see the 5s and the 6s be more of like game winning things versus like just setup cards. And then like it does feel weird that the big game winners are 3-drops. You know, it's like, oh, spending my turn 6 to play a 3/12 Shaw and a Silver Surfer that is, 20 power or something. Like that is kind of silly. What happened to like Doctor Doom being badass? That it just we don't have that kind of thing anymore. And what would a 6 have to look like in order for it to retake that role and also not be super oppressive? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is largely the issue, is that like Marvel Snap is a game designed around winning 2 locations. And so when you make like 6 big and you spend your entire turn making that 6 drop and then you lose the other 2 locations, it sucks, right? But 5s feel that even worse, because with 6s what you can do is like find some way to lock another lane up by turn 6 and make winning 1 location your only goal. Like Professor X with old Red Hulk or Eliath or Storm, all that kind of stuff. You can do that, right? But it's very hard to do that with a 5, because a 5 demands the same amount of basically turn equity from you as a 6. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous, but like the difference between 5 and 6 is 1 energy. We've talked for a long time about how 1s are never lane winners. There is no 1 that is going to win you a lane. Hydra Bob is the biggest one. So if you're playing a 5 and a 1, you might as well just be playing the frickin' 6, because you're not actually winning the lane with the Iceman or whatever that you're playing, right? And so 5s get caught in this where they're not allowed to be as big as 6s. They also get to be played on turn 5, which means they get Shang-Chi'd, and they often require further investment. They're in probably the worst position of any card type in the entire game.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if, I don't know, like, what if this was a game that like went to turn 6, but there were no cards that cost 6?
Well, they'd probably make one eventually, right? Like, that's just not design space you leave untouched, right?
No, for sure. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, why even have 6s if they're not going to do the thing? It's like, I guess it would make more sense if it was like the game had 4 or 5 locations.
Yeah, I don't know. Because like there is a class of 5s that is successful, and they're the 5s that I like to call legions, right? Which is to say they're smaller than Shang-Chi and they have like some massive utility impact on the game. Things like Cannonball, Legion, Hellion, Old Arrow. Those are all cards that were in that vein, right?
Sarah too.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that's like more of a setup card than a finisher, right? This is a card that
Yeah.
allows you to do something that you otherwise would not be able to do, but it's not going to win a lane for you on points a lot of the time unless your opponent is playing something similarly small. And then there are the rare success stories of big fives. And I think reasonably the only one that I think I can call a true success story is Darkhawk. You could argue Ronin in here. You could argue Devil Dinosaur in here. But I think the reason Darkhawk is a success story is because he scales off of disruption. This is a card that scales with disruption. He disrupts your opponent by virtue of the deck you put him in, which means that what he's doing is making those incredibly powerful 3/3 final turns where one of the threes is 12 power Shaw and the other one is a Shang-Chi less likely. He is less vulnerable to those by nature of his own deck. Another card that you could talk about as a 5-drop success is Sandman, but that's just Sarah in reverse. It's the same card, just pointed the other direction, right? Like it's like there have been these cards that are successful in this archetype, but there's one that I specifically want to talk about because I think this is actually fruitful space to be in, okay? Ajax. Ajax is a big 6-drop that isn't always, or a big 5-drop that isn't always a big 5-drop. A big 5-drop that, with you losing priority, is not vulnerable to Shang-Chi. Right. That is really interesting space. Like, if they're not going to change any of the fundamentals about this, and to me, a baseline changing of the fundamentals would be like, Gwenpool loses a point, Surge loses a point, Mr. Fantastic loses a point, Zabu changes his text. Like, that's what I would do. That is my, like, great cleansing. But if they're not going to do any of that stuff, and even that I don't think would do enough of it, like, I think you have to severely look at, like, Enchantress loses a point, Shang-Chi loses a point. Like, you gotta like really tax people for this. So the thing actually occupies a similar space where it's a 5 big, but it doesn't look like it's as big as it is because X amount of its power is wrapped up in that once per game text, and the rest of it only happens after a Shang-Chi is revealed. So it'll be a 5/10 if you play it on turn 5 and blow something up if you fill the lane up. It's a 5 big that is not technically vulnerable to Shang-Chi. The problem is I don't think it's 5 big enough, and what you want from a card like that is to solo a location, and he never can because of what his text says.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to like massage the numbers where it's like 5, 6 plus 3 or something. So then it's like, okay, it's a 5/9, and then end of game it like edges out Shang-Chi as much as possible while also still being kind of big. But yeah, asking you to fill a location is tough unless you're doing like Mysterio Squirrel Girl sort of stuff, and I don't know, maybe that could be an archetype because Mockingbird is one of those cards that does kind of help you break this paradigm too, where assuming you're not playing with Thanos, like you can play a 5 along with a relatively cheap Mockingbird and be able to do the thing that all of these successful decks are doing where they play like 2 pretty big things on the final turn. And
well, we'll only have one thing in this deck.
Well, one barn.
We're not playing the 4/7, Gerry.
Why not?
4/7.
I mean, Abomination also does the same thing. So then you're talking about High Evo. Maybe you have the OG thing.
But yeah, like this is a not necessarily intractable problem, but I think that if you identified the issues with making a 5-drop that is big, like honestly, I get why I get why he's a team up card, right? I get why it's like, oh, I have my friends here, I'm going to be better, right? I totally understand that. If they wanted to purely design this card and ignore flavor, he would say, if I'm alone here instead. Like if you take all the flavor out of it, this is a better card if it says the lane isn't full.
Yeah, but the flavor thing is like
absolutely
too big and too good, unfortunately. But
Like that's like I totally understand why they would have done it like this, but it's like if a ruthless cutthroat like me was in the room, I would have said you should make it not this, because the point of a card like this is that you should, like, one of the things that holds these fives back is that you need to invest further into them. And if you're spending 5, you should get everything for that. You don't need to invest further into a Galacta. Why do I have to invest further into a thing that costs 1 more than the Galacta? They just get to do that, but I have to go invest and get stuff out of it? It's ridiculous. Your cat agrees with me.
What do you mean?
I don't know. You like
just because she's roughly thing colored?
That actually wasn't where I was going with it. I just wanted to say acknowledge your cat, but now that you pointed it out, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's familial sympathies.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I want to be able to play a 5-drop on turn 5 and not feel embarrassed about it. I just don't think it's going to be this guy.
No, probably not. Given the way that you describe things, though, like the whole like, oh, I'm just gonna like buff and cost reduce my kind of cheap cards because like those are already the cards that are most conducive to that sort of thing.
Yep.
It does just leave the 5s and 6s in the dust because like there are historically decks, in the olden days, right? Like before people had all the cards, where it was like, I'm gonna play an Electro and like ramp into some dog shit, and you can't beat it. But like, there's nothing that cost reduces or buffs 5s and 6s. And I think it's because we feel like that would be like too good or something.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It'd be fine. It'd be so fine. This brings me back to my eternal Zabu pitch of just make him apply to 5s instead. But a very smart person pointed
flavor,
out,
Khazar, etc.
Right, whatever. Swap Khazar and Blue Marvel. I don't give a shit. But a very smart person pointed out that wouldn't actually be solving the problem, right? What it would be doing is making 5s 4s, and then you'd still have this inability. It would just kick the can to 6s, right? Like, yeah. It's just like, all right, okay, that's a good point. Like, maybe you should address this actual issue instead of just kicking the can, and then we have the same conversation a year from now. That was pointed out to me, and I think that is like a smart critique of what I'm saying. But
for
I'm just saying like this, it'd work.
It would work in the short term for sure, but
yeah,
in the long term, for a game like this, where is the design space going to be, and what are the things that they can do that they haven't done yet? And I do feel like there are all those sorts of knobs of like things that they have kind of dipped their toes into, where it's like, oh, like Zabu cares about 4s because Khazar is a 4 and Khazar cares about 1s, therefore it makes sense for Zabu to be a 1. And okay, like, when are we going to do 5s? When are we going to do 6 cost matters? When are we going to do odd and evens matter? Like that sort of stuff. And it's like, I feel like maybe eventually, God willing, this game continues on for a while, then, maybe we will see all of these sorts of things. And pretty soon we'll be complaining about, I don't know, what was your Goon Knight deck that was basically odd evens that only cared about that because you wanted your Moon Knight to hit procs. So there was no like odd even lord.
That's true. I will say this. Something that was brought up to me is just like, goon is how, modern day kids say fap, right? And it got me thinking about all the terrible like internet slang that we had back in the day. Like, people don't say like epic win, they say you cooked, right? And people don't say like epic fail, they say you got cooked. Like, I'm just saying that like everyone out there using those words right now, you're gonna probably feel just as stupid as we do when we think about like how we used to spell V like T3H. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna feel a certain way about yourself. I don't like that I have this knowledge. Like, I feel like I should be an unk, retired, I don't want to know what the kids are calling jerking off. I don't want to know about looks maxing. But the worst part about being me is that genuinely, it's like, do not quote the old language to me, which I was there when it was written. This is all stuff that went viral 10 years after it started. And I was there 10 years ago, like 10 years, that's probably 15 years at this point. But I was there when looks maxing was just a thing for like weird people on Fit and the bodybuilding forums. You know what I mean? I shouldn't know those words, but like culture hasn't moved on, just like a bunch of really dumb shit from when I was a kid is now mainstream. Like that's what's happened. It's not like new ideas have come up. These are all things that existed. It's just you had to be a freaking internet weirdo to know about them. And I was, so I did. And now, 15 years later, it's just like a normal thing to talk about. Like, I was born in the dark. I was molded by it.
Yep.
People on TikTok talking about research chemicals and SARMs made from like bug pheromones. Like we didn't know about that back in 2012 on the world's shittiest fitness message boards. Okay? People talking about mewing and jelking like that wasn't a thing in 2012 either. I don't want to hear it, dog. And so I feel like I am forced to be in touch with the youth, and I don't want to be. Nobody my age should know what this shit is. But because I was such a loser as a kid and had no real friends in the real world, I know all of it. This is not language a 32-year-old should be familiar with. And yet, here I am.
Yeah, I hope that they have a phrase that is as hurtful to you as "okay, boomer" is to old people, you know?
It's not, though. I want to be a boomer. They call me Unk, and I'm like, that's the coolest shit of all time. I changed my alliance name to the Unction. That's like I would love like I turned 30 and I was like, I don't have to care about stuff anymore. But nobody's come up with new stuff, so I still know what they're all talking about. The kids should be incomprehensible to me, but what I'm lamenting is that they are comprehensible to me. Culture hasn't moved forward. It's just the weirder parts have gotten more popular. Nothing is gone on, just like all the things that were fringe are now super popular. Like, you know, looks maxing or being a fascist. Like all of these things have always been around. They're just more mainstream now, you know? And so it's just I wish the kids were incomprehensible to me. I wish I didn't know what a groiper was. I wish I wasn't familiar with all of the different variations of frogs on the internet. But I am. I'm sorry. I want to be an unk. I want to retire. I don't want to be this. I'm cursed with this knowledge. Well, you guys got to come up with some new shit, dude. Because otherwise, I'm just going to keep knowing what you're talking about, and I don't want to.
Maybe I should retire. I hadn't considered that.
Well, I mean, we're going to retire you after this episode.
Hell yeah, brother.
You're gonna send your ass out to the beach that makes you old until you dissolve.
I already did that.
It's imagine if we actually, I feel like if we actually had the beach that makes you old, we would use it for like waste disposal. I feel like that would be the ethical way to use the beach that makes you old.
Yeah, which automatically means that is not what we would use it for.
Yeah, we'd probably try to find a way to use it to like, I don't know, age dinosaur bones to create oil as fast as possible or some shit. That's what we would do.
Just use it as like Guantanamo 2, you know, just like I'm gonna like hold your arm out into the beach that makes you old. You just watch your arm disintegrate until you
that's so real.
So you tell me what that frog means specifically. I need to know. You have this very important information that we need. It simply could have just called you, but instead they decided to torture some people.
Yeah, it's so true. That's an incredibly uplifting sentiment to end this podcast on. But I think I think we only did 5 minutes of like non-Marvel Snap in this one. I'm really impressed with us. Like,
Oh, us.
I should ask actually, do you have any just random bullshit you want to talk about, or are you good?
You sent me an Eric Adams clip, and I didn't. I didn't acknowledge it, but I did watch it.
Which one did I send you?
I
Was it the
don't
global
remember.
empanada? Yeah.
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 Just intifada.
Globalized the empanada. You know what's really funny though? Because like my relationship with Ridiculous Hat is more or less at this point foundational. Like we're founded on sending clips of like just funny shit that like people say.
Okay.
So normally I would send that Eric Adams clip to him. But I had recently sent him a different Eric Adams clip, and I was like, all right, this might be like too much Eric Adams. I'll send this one to Gerry. I just talked about him on the podcast. And then 2 days later, he sent me the global empanada clip.
Yeah.
That's for those unfamiliar, it's Eric Adams giving an interview. He claims Zoran Mamdani is an anti-Semite because he said he wants to globalize. And what he's trying to say is globalize the Intifada, which Zoran Mamdani did not say, but has refused to condemn. And I have a lot to say actually about like the idea of refusal to condemn as a news story. It's sort of ridiculous foundationally, but it is crucial to the point, or sorry, it is not crucial to the point, like the details of what it is. What is crucial to the point is Eric Adams cannot say the word Intifada. So he just like stumbles through it 4 times, ends up saying globalize the empanada, and then the interviewer kindly helps him out of that hole. And it's like one person is getting condemned for a refusal to disavow, and the other person can't even say the word. Like, the amount of people that are unable, like, I don't know, like, I'm bad at pronouncing stuff. I Americanize a lot of my stuff because there's a really foundational SNL skit where it's like a bunch of white people over pronouncing the names of a Spanish person. So it's like this SNL skit with Jimmy Smits, and they're all like, we should order a burrito. And then Jimmy Smits is like, why are you guys doing that? Why are you like, just stop it. Just talk like white people, basically. And I feel like there is a world in which like it is not necessarily offensive, but like performative to do that kind of pronunciation. We've had this conversation before, right? Comes up a lot with Shang-Chi, especially considering I'm fairly certain that he was made up by white people. There's like layers to that conversation, right? And I feel like it would be a little performative of me to do that, right? To pronounce things with the accent on them. But I don't think it's performative to pronounce the word. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think it's especially funny for Eric Adams to confuse that word with like another kind of like foreign word.
I didn't even think about that. That does rock. But yeah, globalize the empanada, baby.
Do you know the Final Fantasy VII character Kate Sith? It's like the
I know
cat
the
with the
name. It's the cat,
megaphone.
right? Yeah. Okay.
The cat with the megaphone riding the giant robotic Moogle.
Yeah.
The Japanese pronunciation is Ketshi, but then they did localization for the remake, and they were just like, yeah, we're just gonna call him Kate Sith, and like back in the day, there was a big argument about it because people would make like a video about FF7 or whatever, and they would just like Kate Sith, and then people in the comments would be like, it's catchy, it's catchy. But then they did the remake, they did the localization, and like now officially the like North American version is just Kate Sith, and they're just like, yeah, we could do this, but why the fuck would we?
I think it comes up a lot in specifically Japanese to American because of the LR thing, where there's an island in One Piece that's like pretty crucial to the plot. It's called Laugh Tale. But it was sort of spelled out phonetically, so people thought it was Raftel for like a decade. It's like it happened. One Piece is like notorious for this because there's a character named Zoro, but people call him Zolo. It's a whole thing. specifically around that. And again, like I've tried to be better about like Shang-Chi or Nakia, right? But I still sort of worry that if I do it properly, people are going to be like, you fucking asshole. It's going to be that SNL skit where it's like, you fuck off. What are you, fucking white savior bullshit, right? Like,
Yeah, you're not a proper like white ally unless you practice rolling your R's.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I worry about being too performative in that way. And so I allow myself to use what I would describe as an Americanized pronunciation of it. But it is possible that that in itself is also offensive. I don't know. It's a thing. It's come up. I wish I had a
globalized empanadas. I agree with Eric Adams.
I could go for an empanada. I feel like if it weren't such a hot button topic, I would have that be the title of the show. Globalize the empanada. But I mean, I do think, you know, like when you think about it, there are probably people who have never had an empanada.
I had my first one like a year ago.
Damn. We really do have to globalize the empanada. That's crazy.
It's pretty fucking good.
That's kind of unbelievable. That they're like, I was about to do like, you know, like the medieval peasants joke, right? Where it's like there are starving kids who have never had this flavor, and if you gave it to them, their heads would explode. But that was you. That's you. You're the starving kids who have never had this flavor. And we must globalize the empanada in order to deliver them to you.
It's rare that I try a thing and then like next time I'm at a place that has that thing, I just immediately get it again. But I did that with the empanada.
Also, I'm glad I passed the Gerry video test. I'm glad you enjoyed the video that I sent, because now like I passed my one time. You know what I mean?
No, it was cringe, and then I like a week later I can joke about it.
That's not true. You loved it.
You
think that shit is hilarious. You don't try to bullshit me out of my hard-earned victory.
From what you've told me about that dude, there have to be so many more better clips. And
no, that one's pretty good. That's like an upper tier Adams moment. Like
the only reason you sent it to me is because you didn't want to double text Eric Adams to Rhat.
Yeah. What's your point?
That was not
it didn't come from the heart. Oh, it didn't come from the heart. Oh, I didn't really mean it.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's ridiculous.
You know I'm right.
I wanted to share the joy of globalizing the empanada with somebody. Also, I realized you didn't know who he was. I needed to show you who he was, and he's been on kind of a press tour recently.
I know who Eric Adams is. I just don't watch clips of him saying shit.
Good. It is. There are very few great living comedians anymore. There are, you know, like a lot of comedians nowadays are like Joe Rogan dipshits, where it's like they're not even really making jokes anymore. They're millionaires. They do podcasts. It's pathetic, right? But the truly great comedians in this world are the ones who, by virtue of how messed up the world is, succeed in fields that they are wildly unprepared for, and fundamentally unserious people doing very serious jobs is one of those things.
Like Eric Adams, RFK, like they're just they are people who are depressing to me.
Oh my god. Like
they're the same archetype of person.
The RFK stuff is also really funny because they're like, we got natural sugar back in Coke. And it's like, that's the quintessential American thing, is to replace sugar with another type of sugar and then be like, this is a health initiative.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're fucking making you healthy. It's so sick. It's so sick, dude.
We banned big gulps. You're welcome. That is definitely the problem.
But like, that's the thing. It's like we banned big gulps and we invented a new type of big gulp that is exactly the same, but we banned big gulps. Like that rocks. That's just like, that's the perfect American health initiative, is to like ban a specific type of sugar concentrate and then put the just normal cane sugar back in and then be like, we have made America healthy again.
Yep, we did.
It's so sick.
But also, like, here is this lemonade that kills you. Like, that's cool too.
They need to bring back the lemonade that kills you. Panera Bread, if you're listening to this, bring back the lemonade that kills you. It has 400 milligrams of caffeine in it. It's the greatest drink ever made. I need some of the lemonade that kills you. I know pre-workouts that have significantly less caffeine than the lemonade that kills you.
The 12-ounce Red Bull, for example, you may look at this and be like, wow, this is full of caffeine. It's going to kill you. It only has 114 milligrams.
I don't even know how they did that. It's like back in college, one time I mixed Everclear and Red Bull together, right? And that sounds like the stupidest fucking thing you can possibly do. But when we did the math at the ratios I used, it honestly wasn't that far off from just what was normally in a Four Loko. Like, again, mixing Everclear with Red Bull, not actually far off from just a thing they sold. Which also, I mean, coincidentally got banned. Bring back old Four Loko. What I'm really saying is they need to bring back all the drinks that kill you. Old Four Loko, Old Formula Jacked. Banger right there. They banned that because a bunch of military guys took it and gave themselves heart attacks on like heroic doses. The Panera Bread lemonade that kills you, we need to bring that back too. That's what they need to put the cocaine back in Coke, you know?
Yeah.
That would be
I do agree with that one. That one
RFK, I need you to get on these health initiatives. These are critical for the Make America Healthy Again agenda. And
these are
by virtue
currently plaguing our country.
Yes, by virtue of killing us, it will get us off of insurance. So it'll also probably make you money. So there you go. Give me the lemonade that kills you. Thank you. This is my closing moments. It's been a pleasure. I'm not even going to end the podcast the normal way. Bring back Old Formula Jacked and the lemonade that kills you. Thank you very much.